To say I have a complicated relationship with SMSlaser would probably be an understatement. The first video I had on this channel was showing that the XK68 that SMS was selling was about double the price of the same product that you can find on eBay or AliExpress. From there, I got the device and compared it to another device in kind of the same price range, the Purse 4, and showed that while it does have a lot of features for the money, in the end, it's kind of hit or miss on if you're going to get a good unit or a bad unit. On my AK-47, the one that I had to send to Palmetto twice, you can check that video out if you want to, by the way, the XK68 exhibited a slight shift, but in the end, didn't deviate too far from accuracy of about 180 rounds or so. And now that the XK68's done, there's one more piece to the SMS puzzle that I've been dreading and prolonging on doing for a while now. And that is reviewing the XK68 IR. I finally bought the unit, and we'll be going over it today and seeing why I don't think it's worth it in the slightest for you to buy, and that you should just go ahead and buy a Somogear. But let's not spoil the fun. Wait, actually I think it's this one. Sometimes you really can't tell. So, there's really only two changes between my XK68 and the SMSlaser XK68 IR that I bought, and I'll show you really quick. The first one is and it may be a rolling change actually, since that there was a lot of accounts of the mount being weak on the XK68, but the bolts that hold the mount are actually labeled with specifications, whereas on the XK68 they're kind of generic, as you can see. So like I said, that may have just been a reaction to the mount tending to move around on the original XK, but I'm not sure. The second is that the plug itself is more of a horizontal position on the XK with the two holes, and on the IR, they're in a more vertical position. So basically just, turned either clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm not sure if that's just whoever put it together, they put in the connector differently, or if that was an intentional change, but it's still the same connector. My original gripes about the XK68's body is still here with the IR version. It's way too easy to turn the device on and off, and I had multiple times with this specific unit where it turned itself on in my range bag or turned itself on in my pocket when I was trying to film the night vision part of this video. And that can be a really big problem if it is set to the IR illuminator mode, and so it will be flashing IR light wherever the front of the device is. So that could potentially damage your eyes or, cause a situational awareness problem if you have this device turn on mistakenly on your weapon. Another thing to note is that the O-ring on the battery cover falls off way too easy. I know this because I tend to transport the XK68 without a battery and with the battery cap just loose, since there's no off feature on the knob. And that O-ring has already fallen off on this device, and I've already lost it on my XK68. So I would recommend, if you transport the device without a battery, go ahead and put that battery cap back onto the device so you don't lose that O-ring and any potential water resistance that the device has. Besides that, the bodies are exactly identical. Same markings that are a little crooked on the side, and just one has SMSlaser label on it, and this one was just a generic one that I bought off eBay. You can see that video if you want. It's important to note that the actual flashlight housing, or I guess illuminator housing, is the exact same, either on the visible light or IR light. And as you will see in the comparison videos, that while the flashlight on the XK68 is very powerful and I think useful if it's used on a close quarter weapon light situation, this makes the IR illuminator very floody and potentially unusable depending on how you're using it. Speaking of comparisons, I think it's time to now compare the XK68 IR to what I think is its most direct competitor, the Somogear PEQ. This specific unit is the upgraded 8000 series, so supposedly it has a stronger plastic housing. We'll be comparing the IR lasers as well as the illuminators to both, and in the end, hopefully you can see which one will work best for you. Let's get started. So we'll be testing the lasers and illuminators here. I don't know the exact distance. I will put that up on the screen once I look at Google Maps, but right now to the naked eye, I can't see the trees at all. I know looking through the viewfinder that you can see all the way to the trees, but I can't. In this area, there is visible light, but I'd say probably half the distance that you can see is unlit to the naked eye. So we'll be using the lasers and illuminators, and hopefully we can see and judge the distance that each one can do. So towards the tree line, the Somogear illuminator low, you can barely see it. The laser is still very visible, so that's good. This tree is probably about 50 yards away from me, and it's pretty visible with the illuminator at that distance. This is the illuminator. It can easily light up that tree line at that distance that you and I will know once I edit. You can, of course, turn the illuminator to a more condensed beam. There it is. That's max focus. The laser and IR illuminator. So both of them turned on at the same time. As you can see, the laser isn't very defined towards that tree line, but the illuminator does hit that tree line somewhat. The problem is, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, I'll see, but it's a massive flood, unlike the Somogear. So I think it has the same exact pattern as the visible light XK68. It just has an IR illuminator instead of a regular LED illuminator. On the left is the Somogear IR laser on high, and on the right is the XK68. As you can see, the Somogear laser is definitely more powerful. Going all the way to that tree line, and then coming back closer to me. On the left is the Somogear IR laser set to the low setting. On the right is the XK68. If the Somogear is on the low setting, you can kind of see that they're more even in terms of brightness. I won't be able to tell for certain until I start editing, but just looking at the viewfinder, they look about the same. So this is the Somogear, just the illuminator set to high, and then I'll turn on the XK68. As you can see, the XK has such a massive flood for the IR illuminator that you really can't tell the difference between the two until you get further out. And even at that point, I think just the massive spillage from the XK's IR illuminator is kind of messing up the psionics in terms of trying to focus. If we turn it back off, you can see the illuminator for the Somogear a lot better. So I wanted to show you how bad the flood was for the XK's IR illuminator. So turning it on, as you can see directly in front of me, there's a massive flood. Massive flood that goes all the way across this entire field. We're talking 100 yards, in both directions. I can't see it, but you can. But when I turn it on, there's already splash coming back towards me. So if you walk by a tree or a bush, you're just going to get a bunch of splashback going into your night vision. That's going to wreak havoc with your situational awareness. Hopefully you enjoyed the footage from my new camera, a Sonics Aura, which is a definite upgrade over what I was using before, a crappy $60 Amazon camera. If you're interested in seeing a night vision video setup for a budget option in 2024, make sure to be subscribed, and we'll be going over this unit as well as helmets and other peripherals. As far as comparing the XK68 IR and the Somogear, I think the choice is pretty obvious. You want the Somogear because you can actually focus the IR illuminator, and the laser is just more powerful than the XK68. And besides that, even if they were on the same level, the XK68 has too much flood. You'll be blinding yourself, either you or your night vision, and I don't think it's worth it at all, especially at that price tag. With that out of the way, that leaves us with one more task, going over the XK's turnaround burndown test to test its zero hold. While that round count may seem low to you, that was all the ammo that I needed to show that this specific unit is defective and unstable. The range video will show that I was questioning myself in terms of accuracy and how I was shooting, But in the end, you're gonna be able to see what was wrong and why my accuracy was so terrible.
All right, so we just did 180 rounds. And I'll put some pictures up on the screen so you can see it for yourself. But the laser has walked itself up. I don't know the scientific measurement, but it's about the same width as one of those targets. So it's walked itself up pretty badly. I'm gonna put paint marks on both the mount of the XK68, since we know that's kind of the weak point already, right on that lower point. I'm also going to put a white marker point on the rail just in case, you know, I don't want anyone saying that I mis-torqued, you know, I didn't torque it right or I torqued it too loosely or whatever, because as you can see, like, you know, it's not moving at all. Like, it is torqued on there, like, really, like, I cannot move it at all. Like, I am trying. And, I mean, with Loctite, I think you can see a bit of Loctite right here. Maybe not. With the Loctite, I mean, it's staying secure, and I cannot move it for the life of me. But I want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing, and in the end, it was shifting somehow. So I'm gonna put some I'll put some paint marks on it really quick, and we'll shoot another 100 rounds or so, and I'll resight it as well and see if it moves. I can't prove this with data, but this turret is starting to feel a lot more. It's feeling more difficult to adjust, and this is the elevation turret. So exactly the same. It walked up, right? So that is part of the elevation adjustment. So I don't know if there's something going on with that mechanism. Like I said, I can't prove it to you. I don't have like a torque. I don't have anything to measure torque or anything, but it's definitely harder to measure or to adjust right now. Yeah, the only thing I have to adjust pretty much is the elevation. I'm gonna adjust the windage just slightly, so it's gonna be easier for you to see the difference between the two lasers. But oh no, wait, the windage is super loose now. Yeah, like I could just tap, like I can just tap this right now. I'm just tapping it and it's moving. Okay, this is okay. I don't know. Yeah, it sucks that I can't. There's no way to show y'all like through video of what's happening. All right, we're gonna stop filming. We're gonna take pictures of the zero, and then we'll just take those 8 shots again and see where the laser is. So I just took those pictures. So as you can see, the laser is currently sitting just directly right to the red dot. I'm going to take some shots, and then I'm going to directly see the relation of the red dot to the laser and see if it moved in those 8 shots again like it did just now. All right. All right, turn the laser, the red dot off. You can see the laser. All right, I'm gonna turn the red dot back on. Yeah, it shifted again. It's so I was kind of getting myself psyched out because we're having shifts now within 8 shots. I'm gonna not move the rifle right now. I'm literally I'll line up the picture right now, so I'll put it on the camera, or I'll put it on the screen and show that the laser has walked itself down. So at this point, I don't see a point. I don't see any reason to shoot another 90 rounds, right? If we are getting wandering zeros now, within sorry, I'm just trying to comprehend this right now. If it's losing 0 within 8 rounds, there's no point, and I think we can leave it at that. So as you can see, my shots were different from left to right, right? Like we have more of a centering on we have more of a centering on the red dot, or on the red circle, whereas on this side it was starting to come down. And this kind of explains my shots on this target now that we know that the shift is happening in real time almost. Within 8 shots, we have shifts. So this actually makes sense, right? Earlier, you know, I thought it was my, it was the way I was aiming, but in reality, the laser was, changing 0 that entire time.
Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it entertaining and also why you should not be buying the XK68 IR under any circumstance. If you really need an IR illuminator on your lamb, I would suggest you jumping the extra $50 and getting a Somogear PEQ. If you want to see a video on my thoughts on this specific unit, the upgraded 8000 body, let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to make that video. As I mentioned previously, my next video will be going over my Gen 2 Plus night vision unit that I bought, as well as the setup I have to make it kind of as budgeted as possible in 2024. I will also be going over a similar-ish setup that my friend has that will be using a Gen 3 unit. I'll be going over both of those setups and hopefully you'll be able to see if the jump from Gen 2 Plus to 3 is worth it for you. Until then, Godspeed.